let me define what I mean by opening and closing. So by opening, what I mean is opening to possibility. And by close, what I mean is closing it to a single actuality. So we live in this, I would say, we live, I'll put it this way. We have the capacity for both potential and actuality. So we are creative beings. The creative process is translating from potential into actuality and from actuality back into potential. I mean, technically, I would say from actuality into potential is a destructive process, but I would consider destruction also to be essential in creativity. So creativity, I would say, involves both the the creative impulse, the expressive impulse from translating from potential into actuality, as well as the destructive taking from actuality and bringing it into potential, because that allows for the flexibility of continuing to evolve, grow, change. Because if you think about it, if you if you were locked into something once it became actualized, you would probably, it depends on your personality, but I'd be willing to bet for most people, pretty quickly you would become extremely conservative. You'd start to say, you know what, I'm not so sure that I want to create that. Because you would learn, probably, hopefully, you would learn that there are likely to be unforeseen consequences of every action. So you would really hesitate to take any action, right? So you say, yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to say anything just yet, because if I say something, that's going to actualize it. You know, that's something's going to happen as a result of that. So you start to be very hesitant. And so it's important as a creative being to also know that you have the ability to complete that cycle, to take something from actuality and bring it into potential. It's an important power that we all possess, but one that is certainly not routinely emphasized in the dominant culture, because the dominant culture is very linear in its orientation. So the tendency is to think of a line of past, present, future. And so the usually the thinking is past creates, we create from the past. So we're experiencing the consequences of the past. You can't change the past because the past is back there and you exist here. You can't go back there to change the past. So you're stuck with the consequences of the past. So that not everybody thinks that way, but it is the emphasis of the dominant culture. So there's a certain amount of that. But so many of us have forgotten about our full capacities, our full powers. We also have the ability to destroy or to take things that have we have created or that we have actualized and bring them back into potential. And so questioning allows us to do that. If you think that you already know something, then it's stuck in its actualized state for you. But when you question it, you bring it back into its potential, which opens up options because potential is infinite. There's no limit to potential. So, like right now, in this moment, what will you do next? Technically, it's infinite potential. There's no, you could go left, you could go right, you could go forward, you could go backward, you could go up, you could go down. But those are just the cardinal directions. There's infinitely many directions, and that's just in terms of movement in space. So in any just in terms of how you will move in space, there are infinitely many possibilities. So the potential is infinite. But once you commit to an action, then it collapses into something specific. you can't move in all directions simultaneously in actuality. In potential, the potential exists, but in actuality, you have to move in a direction. There has to be a choice. So infinite potential is collapsed into a singularity. And what I'm pointing out is that most of us, most of the time, have been conditioned to believe that that is a one-way process, that potential is collapsed into actuality, and that it cannot work the other way around. But in fact, it can work the other way around, and questioning is a really simple yet powerful process for doing that.